Hello again and welcome back to the marketplace. Now, the Public Accounts Committee has warned the auctioneer involved in the sale of 24 vehicles at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture could be punished for perjury. Some of the officials of the ministry are being grilled by the committee over the matter. The probe comes after the Auditor General raised red flags over the auctioning of the 24 vehicles by the Agric Ministry, describing the process as non-transparent, unfair and uncompetitive. Proceedings are currently still going on in Parliament. Let's now take you back there for more on that update.
We need it on record that he has given us that assurance. Next time there's a report from his ministry, we shouldn't be seeing these same infractions, and I may add, and they shouldn't be coming from the same auctioneer.
Well, your second portion, I will disallow that one. But you can answer the first portion.
Very well. Duly withdrawn, sir.
Yes, we will do our best to keep the promise.
Honorable Makin.
Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. Chairman, I want to refer to the letter dated the 12th of August 2014 from Alex Matt, signed by Alexander J. The Chairman, paragraph 4 of the said letter indicates that a 7% commission was taken by Alex Matt. This presupposes that upon payment, he takes possession of the said monies. Now, may I know from Mr. Alex Matt, relying on this document and others, whether or not payment of withholding tax was effected by his company on this 7% commission? That's my first question.
Mr. Chairman, no.
Now, so you never paid any withholding tax on the amount of 33,000 that you earn as a matter of record. Very well. Now, given the opportunity on this very transaction, can you assure this?
Not mean that when corporate tax is imposed on his profits, he will not pay. Wait, withholding tax is tax which is deductible. Wait, is deductible from your final tax. So if he had not paid the withholding tax, if he had paid the final tax, then the issue of you asking him to go and pay within 1 week doesn't arise. I just want to let you know
Chairman,
the angle of your question.
Chairman, don't lead him. It is not fair. Now, may I ask you, in the year 2014, did you prepare final account? In other words, did you prepare a financial statement, and did you, as a result of that, submit yourself, your company? This is an enterprise, not so? Enterprise, sole proprietorship. You are the only owner. Very well. Did you submit your financial report to GRA for a purpose of taxation?
Mr. Chair, I pay my tax the GRA sent me assessment. So based on what they send me is what I pay.
Now, excuse me, one moment. GRA sending you assessment doesn't mean you should not file your returns. Have you been filing your annual returns since then?
The last time I filed my returns was somewhere 2012 or 2017 time.
So, Mr. Chairman.
He is being truthful.
Yes.
Somewhere 2012, that was the last time he filed his assessment, his returns. But GRA had been assessing him, and he's paying based on the GRA assessment, which you don't dispute.
Mr. Chairman, you know that does not absolve you from the obligation of having to file your returns. Because what they send to you is provisional. So at the end of the year, you have to prepare accounts and file your returns. Yes, must be audited, and then you file your returns. So based on that, they can assess you on their account. Every company is supposed to have an auditor. Do you have an auditor? No.
Mr. Chairman, as a matter of record, that assessment is based on certain presumptions. Good. So, Mr. Alex Matt. No, you're operating under the name as Alex Matt. Okay, but you are Alex AJ. Okay, sure. So, you would agree with the committee that you have not disclosed since 2013 to GRA your actual earnings, including this very earnings. If I say this very earnings, I'm referring to the subject matter of this interrogation. You agree with the committee?
Mr. Chairman, I agree.
Very well. On the basis of that agreement, you are willing to do the needful. In other words, you are willing to go to GRA with all the payment you received, that the various 7%, including others that we don't, which are not before this committee, and voluntarily, freely pay the withholding tax on the commissions you've been earning. You are willing, not so.
Honorable Chair, with this one, I have to.
It's a matter of law.
Law, it's true.
You can go to jail. You know that.
When given an opportunity, I will see.
So, Mr. Chair, the witness assures this committee that when opportunity is given him, he is willing to discharge that obligation, just for the records. Mr. Chair.
Let me, before you go to your next question, I think that the burden is on the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to deduct or withhold the payments. But for the fact that in this case, the auctioneer collects the money, retain his portion before declaring the rest, that is why the ministry is also not able to withhold the withholding tax. So it's a complex issue.
No, but Mr. Chairman, that is why the auctioneer should go and pay the withholding tax. If the money gets to him.
Point with you.
Okay.
If so, I think it may come out of our general recommendation. But I observe that the role of the accountant, per the mandate letter given to the auctioneer, is rendered somehow odious, in the sense that if the ministry's accountant is supposed to work with you, and all that he does is to observe without taking possession of cash, then we are also aiding you in a way not to pay. So I agree with you that going forward, the system should be such that upon payment, the payment should be in some form of escrow, or you can always have an account, can't you? Yes, for this purpose. If you don't, for this purpose, so that you deduct the withholding tax from its commission, then that will be fine. Now, Mr. Chairman, with that one being dealt with, the last point I have is with respect to a question by my very honorable colleague, Alex Aban, on the law. Again, it cannot be the ministry's responsibility to negotiate, because they are not the body authorizing the auctioneer to that performance of duty. So I would suggest that the issue of the rates be taken up with the chief of staff, because per the law, it is up to 7%, which is the very upper limit. I hope I'm correct. Therefore, anything within is okay. It is therefore...
And the upper limit is also okay.
Yes, I agree. No, I agree. The upper limit, but on the issue of negotiation, it means that we can come down from that point. So I think that one is a matter for the chief of staff. Yes. I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. I now come to the from bench, so I'll call on the deputy ranking member to ask his questions. Honorable.
Let's go to paragraph 56. I think that is where I have. Yes. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I want to read. The late payment of proceeds into the intra was a result of staff who purchased the vehicles paying in bits, though MOFA engaged the two auctioneers with letters of appointment stating the terms of reference. They carried out the auctions without adhering to paragraph 3 of DETOR. This was because vehicles were already allocated to members of staff who delayed payments to the auctioneer. Since the auctioneer was not engaged through competitive process, he could not demand prompt payment from staff for the fear of not being engaged again by the disposing entity. I think the problem that we are having since 10 a.m. that we sat, I believe, borders on this particular paragraph. The auctioneer was not being able to be hard on them because he was protecting his job. And the appointee authority too is not Ministry of Food and Agriculture. So it became a problem. This man is having problem going to his debtors, chasing them for the monies, because before even he came in, the vehicle has been allocated to them already. He doesn't even know where they are. He's just using his paper tracer that he was doing. So I think going forward, I think it will be part of our recommendation. Like an honorable colleague suggested, that duty has to be taken away from the Chief of Staff's office, so that at least whoever is giving can actually be chased to do the right thing. Other than that, I mean, somebody gives work, he's not in a position to supervise it, then that is given to a third party. Then you call the third party to come and account for something that he's, from day one, he wasn't part of the process. I think that is, yes.
No, it was suggested already by Honorable.
Is he adding on to that suggestion? His future promotion may have problems. Are you associating
well, they are proposing that we cut the chief of staff.
No, I don't think that was what he intended.
That's what he intended.
What you intended?
That is what he intended.
No, he's here. We should.
Chairman.
Honorable. Yeah, Honorable. I know it's his policy, but policies are subject to change. I mean, depending on what we will give out in our report, whoever came out with the policy will see maybe wisdom in what we are suggesting, because they are not immutable. I mean, policies are not immutable. From time to time, they are subject to change. We keep saying that maybe we have an executive president, very powerful and all those things. At least these things might be addressed one time, one day. And this is part of the processes. Yes. So what I want to say, finally, is that Chief Director, I think you've seen it. Rankin was saying that you are a frequent visitor to this house, which I think you find it quite unpleasant, because public account evokes, I mean, fear and terror among the population, because here you are, the whole country is looking at you, and you are not here to receive award, but your infraction is being put before you. Yes, I think it's food for thought. Go and sin no more. And if you are to meet us again, let it be an award opportunity, but not for you to come and answer infractions. Thank you.
Let me hear from the minister.
Yeah, thank you. It's a nice advice, but I would still want us to exercise a bit of caution. We may be clipping the wings of the chief of staff, which is an office, maybe without due consideration to failures elsewhere on the ground. Because this reason of members of staff purchasing vehicles and paying in bits, it has no place in law. You are given an auction to do, and you must do it rightly. And as we have said, even if you win an auction, and within a period of 2 weeks, you are not able to pay and collect away your vehicle, he has the right to go and auction it. And if the people are paying in bits, it will mean that he permitted. There's no auction where you go and they come and pay by installment. So the chief of staff cannot be blamed for these infractions. That we must also bring the auctioneers community to know that the right thing must be done. I think they are also treating government assets with a bit of contempt. And that is why we should pay more attention to letting them do the right thing rather than trying to change the rules.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, I think that Honorable Ejekum tried to make a point, which you rightly stated should be addressed to the committee in closed sitting. But I think that for the benefit of what is going on, which is a live broadcast of this transmission, and commentary that is already ongoing in some angles or some areas of social media, it's important that we state for the record that this Parliament, this Committee of Parliament is a Speaker's Committee, and it's a very, very serious matter and job we're doing here. If you look at the demeanor of the Director for Agric Engineering and the Minister and the Chief Director, from the onset, they admitted wrongdoing and pled with us to treat them with some institutional wrongdoing and plead them with mercy. And they have even gone ahead to let us know that they've taken remedial action such that in subsequent reports of the Auditor General, we will not see same. Same cannot be said for the auctioneer, who has been caught on TV, and people are making comments about the work of this committee that we're treating him with kid gloves because he's been captured on live TV laughing at some of the questions we've asked. Very, very serious infractions of law, and he's laughed about it. So Honorable Mafo spoke about the fact that this committee is feared. It appears that that fear is missing on the auctioneer, and he thinks that it's business as usual. And so I think that, Mr. Chairman, it's important that we state for the record that we're not here to joke and just do a rubber stamp, but we're here to ensure the oversight responsibility of Mr. Speaker's Parliament to ensure that the executive does things right. If the ministry that worked with him is remorseful, I don't see why he would put up an attitude of nonchalancy. It doesn't augur well for this committee's work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member, for drawing the attention of the committee to what probably you are reading on social media. But I don't think that the opinion of the public should be that we, as a committee, are not treating or are treating the auditees that are appearing before the committee with the kid gloves. Look, I don't know whether they are expecting us that we should call the police to come and pick the man here now, for them to say that we are actually doing proper work. No, we are operating under rules. We are operating under mandates. As I said earlier on, we have powers of a high court. We don't have power to prosecute. We will recommend, and our recommendation is even subject to what? Approval of Parliament, the entire House. So those comments could go on, but I think that it's good you brought it to our attention. We are still on live on air, and they are listening to us. We are saying that we don't have any power at this sitting to cause the arrest of any auditee. We are not here to do that, because if we do that, we'll be going beyond our powers as a committee of Parliament. But we are serious with what we are doing.
I think we should let those who appear before the committee realize that we are serious.
Because
serious. The issue is not with us being serious or not being serious. It's with those appearing before us. Because you won't sit in the High Court and laugh at the judge when he's speaking.
So let's end it there. Honorable Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. But Honorable George, I think this is an individual attitude. Just as you realize the ministries, the officials from the ministries are very remote, but that depends on somebody who decided that this committee, after all, when I leave here, there won't be any police to arrest me. So until our reports are out there, then he will realize the actual consequences. I believe he's not even realizing it now. But by the time we finish with the report, I don't think he will be laughing again. So you can be rest assured of that. Chairman, I just realized that my senior have not had his bite today. And Honorable Into, I would like to yield my comments to him so that he can do my questioning. Honorable Into, you can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I think my chairman has not been fair to me today. I don't know the reason.
The Vice Chairman will go to heaven.
But until you are my friend, you know.
Yeah, that's part of the job.
Not only.
Mr. Chairman, my initial comment is that with what is going on social media, there are some, if you study psychology and human temperament, there are some people, when they're angry, they will laugh. There are some people like that. He's very angry, but he'll be laughing. And what he has purposed in the heart will be executed. So, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to find out from the ministry, from the Procurement Act 2003, Act 663, Part 8, Section 83, which I want to read a portion from page 4 of the Auditor General's report. It says that the head of an entity shall convene a board of survey which shall report on the vehicles and subject to a technical report on them, recommend.
Which page?
4, paragraph 11, under criteria.
No, you're reading a different document.
It's not a different document. I want to find from the ministry whether they have that board in place. That will have some technical men to look at the vehicles and ascertain whether they are serviceable or not serviceable.
A board of survey.
Board
of survey.
Honorable,
Has a board of survey. It's
Honorable Chair.
They had it.
They have it.
Honorable Chair, and in all the auctions that we did, we went through, we constituted a board of survey, but we do not have one that is standing because it is not a standing board. It is a board that works, and then after that you dissolve, and then at any time in point that you want to do, you set a new one. So in all, we did constituted a board of survey.
And again, I want to find out whether you have a procurement officer at your end.
Yes, we have a procurement officer for the ministry.
But since you have a very busy schedule as a chief director, and you have a procurement officer, I think it would be better for you to assign this procurement officer to do the follow-up. Because right from this morning, I've been very sad. How can you make an auction? Payments are made for 29 months. You bluntly refused to pay into chest. You see, it is unhelpful. And therefore, we have suggested that you assign your procurement officer to do that follow-up because he knows the law. And then he prompts the auctioneer, if he is not prepared to abide by the laws of the country or the regulations of your ministry, they should not continue to deal with him. Because, Mr. Chairman, the constitution of the country is supreme. And that we have rules and regulations pertaining to any law or any act that we shall enact in Parliament. And therefore, if there is an entity that is not going in conformity or in line with what the law provides, we cannot just laugh over it. So I would suggest to your ministry that let your officers go according to the precepts that have been set by the ministry so that all of us will have the benefits of whatever we need to in this country. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now come back to the ranking member of the committee. Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have a few questions for the auctioneer. Mr. Auctioneer, I hope you have read the page 4 of the Auditor General's report. The audit questions, the criteria, and all that. Would you call this an auction? What happened in that period, or the whatever we are calling auction? Technically, you are a technical man. None of us is an auctioneer. Would you call it an auction?
Mr. Chairman, before I answer that question, I'm very sorry about what my honorable was saying. I was laughing. In fact, it won't happen again. I'm very.
Are you a psychologist or
Mr. Chairman, I'm very serious here because I know what this thing can do to me, so I'm very serious. Please, your question is, can you rephrase it again for me?
Refresh your mind or rephrase the question. Okay. I am asking that you being a professional auctioneer, would you call what happened or that exercise an auction?
No, Mr. Chairman.
So you didn't undertake any auction?
Mr. Chairman, I undertook no.
In the minds of some of us, you did debt collection, which you are probably not mandated to do. Am I right?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
So the money paid you was not earned or was not due to you. Do you agree with me?
Some way, yes, I agree. Yeah.
If you take what does not belong to you, what do you call it?
Mr. Chair, in this scenario, not all of the vehicles not all of them were given to the staff. There are some which were sold on to the public. So I don't know how.
Then it means that your earlier answer was wrong. You see, according to you, the process didn't qualify as an auction. Probably not a full auction. But for the fact that you were as an auctioneer was involved, it could be some kind of refined auction. It is assumed that the valuation was done. It was assumed that you determined the prices, because eventually the prices at which the cars were sold were, even though were the reserve prices, were the prices of the auctioneer. By implication, if that is the final price, you have agreed on the reserve price, then that is the price of the auctioneer. So at least you have done an auction. But you say no, that's your own case. Go continue.
Chairman is leading the auctioneer. Okay, Mr. Auctioneer, please, can we have some silence, please? Can we have some silence, please? Mr. Chairman, auctioneer, so it means that the money you have taken is not earned.
Mr. Chairman, not all of them were given. So some were being given, some were auctioned. So,
but I thought your mandate was to auction vehicles belonging to the ministry. Wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So you didn't carry out your mandate, did you?
I did carry it, but not all of them.
So which part of the amount did you not earn?
Honorable Chair, it will be very difficult for me because I cannot quantify at the moment.
Can we give you time to do your calculation and then liaise with the auditors? Then the part that you didn't earn, you refund the money to the state.
Honorable Chair, it will be very difficult for.
Why would it be difficult?
According to you, you have earned part of the money and part you didn't earn. We are asking you, would the committee be fair to you if the committee says that the part you earn is your money? Take it. The part you did not earn is for government. Refund it. Would the committee be fair to you by making that proposal? We just want to find out from you.
Honorable Chair, I will be very happy if the committee allow this to go because we've learned our lesson on all these things.
Auctioneer, I don't know, educate me. All the auctioneers or auctioning, is it a profession? So you have a professional body regulating your activities? Wow. And since then, your body hasn't called you for anything since this report came out?
I've spoken to the members about this the whole thing. But tomorrow we are having a meeting, so when we go, we will discuss.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I suggest to the committee that the auctioneer liaises with the auditors, and then the part of the money that was not earned, they will do the calculation plus interest, and then report to us before we finalize our report. And then to the auditees or the ministry, I think the questions I asked the auctioneer are applicable to you. But I heard earlier on the technical director saying that the corporates, the people who were there when this auction, purported auction, happened, are no longer available. Is that true?
Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, but I think there are lawyers here. They can advise us that if you commit a crime, there's no time bound, whatever. It's not statute bound. So I will suggest to the committee again that all those who took the government vehicles without paying it, because according to the terms of reference of the auctioneer, if you want to call it an auction, they should have paid within maximum 72 hours. Again, you liaise with the auditors and calculate interest for the 29 months that they held on to state funds without paying it to government chest, to calculate interest and then penalty. Let us, no, those who are on retirement, it is still something they owe the state of Ghana. So you agree with them when they can pay. I believe that is also regulated by law. If you owe government of Ghana and you want to plead for time to pay, there is time bound, or it is time bound. So you agree with the auditors when they can pay before we finalize our report, and we have a space of about 1 month to do this. Mr. Chairman, I rest my case. Thank you.
No follow-up. Let me hear from the Chief Director.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I think the auctioneer, the auctioneer has made us understand that it was only one vehicle that was delayed. The payment for one vehicle that traveled the 29 months we are talking about, and not all the vehicles. That's right.
Director of Finance.
Honorable Chair, after sitting through the sessions, I've come to realize that to save ourselves from the Financial Administrative Act, that's payment within 24 hours in gross, may I suggest that if this process of auction should be treated as IGF, like all other IGF, into which we pay everything into an NTR account, and Bank of Ghana automatically release that percentage into the directorate account, so that they will pay the auctioneer through that account, so that they can take withholding tax, and it will save us a lot, and there will be audit trails of the payments. I think this will help a lot. Other than that,
Madam, I'm coming back to that particular issue as my questioning or whatever, and I will invite the Auditor General, because I've seen something in the FAR that probably, if we interpret it, can help us. So I'll come back to that. And that is that if you read the conclusion, the general conclusion of the audits on page 27, that's paragraph 68. I think the last sentence says that this action is contrary to FAR 2004 LI 1802, section 15.1, which states that, quote, all public monies collected shall be Paid, it should be paid, not paying. Shall be paid in gross into the public funds account, and no disbursement shall be made from the monies collected except as provided by an enactment. Except as provided by an enactment. So if an enactment like the Auction Act says that it should be paid net, then we are within the law. Then we are within the law. But here, the proceeds, what should be paid to the consolidated fund must be net of the auctioneer's money. So that is covered. So we don't have the issue Madam is raising again. So, because that is the conclusion of the Auditor General. That's your conclusion, yes.
The problem is who takes the money after the auction?
No, that wasn't the main problem. The main problem was that the total money, the gross, must be paid into the consolidated fund, and then the auctioneer's commission should be sourced separately from Ministry of Finance through a warrant. And that is where the problem is. Now, what I'm reading now is saying that once an enactment made a provision, the payment of the gross doesn't hold here. You pay the net after you have deducted the commission.
So who will receive the payment? But who will receive the payment?
Yeah, so, but let me hear from the Auditor General.
No, Chair, let's clear this with respect. Who receives the payment?
In this case, it should not be the auctioneer. It should not be the auctioneer. The agency must receive that money. Then they pay that money to, they pay the commission to the auctioneer. Then they can withholding tax. Then they pay the net to the consolidated fund, the NTR account.
But Chairman, where the woman was coming from, it's not the same.
Yes, Minister.
I think the last point, Mr. Chairman, you just made, the collection, because the vehicles are normally located all around the country, the auctioneer at his own expense is supposed to go around after he sold and collect the monies from the beneficiaries. So if it is transferred to the agency will incur costs, more costs, because the commission that is paid to him, the 7% or 3%, is supposed to cover that collection cost. So if we transfer that responsibility and say that they should pay the money to the agency.
No. Yeah. The auctioneer will still chase the money and collect the money, but that money should not go to the auctioneer's account. It should come to the agency's account.
Okay.
Then the agency make a check to the auctioneer.
The auctioneer, okay.
What is his duty? Auctioning the vehicle or the cars, chasing the money is his duty. That is why he's being paid some commission.
And I think that's the reason he's giving this account number.
And is it that after he's collected the money, he brings the money back to the ministry?
The agency, in this case, the ministry.
Because
the monies he collects, he should not pay them into his account. The ministry should collect those monies.
Yeah.
Then the ministry can then pay the auctioneer. But what is happening now is auctioneer collect the money, pay to his own account.
That's right.
Take his commission, and then pay the money, the balance to the consolidated fund. That is what is happening. Is that not what is happening, auctioneer? Okay.
When I go around, I take the money, I deduct my percentage, and send the rest to Bank of Ghana.
That is what I'm saying. It's the same thing that I'm saying, which is wrong. Now, Director.
Yes. After the issue came, I tried to discuss it with my accountant and then the auctioneer, that where the vehicles are spot standing, when they do their auction there, the auctioneer should give a note, stamped and signed, to the person, go and pay this amount to my accountant. Then my accountant will issue the government or official receipts to the person before a person can go and pick that vehicle. And then at the end, the auctioneer will now come back to my accountant. Then they look at what payments have been done. What is the total? My commission is so much. You pay me, and then my accountant will go and pay that money at Bank of Ghana.
Well, let's hear from the Auditor General on this particular issue, because what I read, the FAR 1802, what it says, are we on course?
Mr. Chairman, it depends on what is in the Auction Act. My understanding is not that the Auction Act is allowing withholding of the money from the proceeds. If that is it, if Honorable can help us with the commission for the auctioneer. Because the regulation is saying that you should pay the money in gross into the consolidated fund, except if allowed by a law. So if the law allows that, then that is okay. But if that is not what the law is saying, if it is only fixing a percentage, there's difference between the law saying that the maximum amount you can get is 7%. That does not mean you take it out of the money you have received. So we need to read the law carefully and then come back to it.
I was referring to Financial Administration Act. Yeah, he agreed with me on that.
I agree with the Financial Administration Act.
The second leg is the Auction Act.
Exactly.
So if Honorable Aban can provide, if there is any provision in the Auction Act that allows that the amounts, the proceeds of the auction should be paid into the consolidated fund net of the commission.
Mr. Chairman, you realize that at a point in time I said the auction sales law as it stands applies to all auctions. And then I stated that looking at the provision in the Constitution as read by Honorable Kankam, that would be an exception. And because the Constitution is supreme, we would have to, as far as auction of government vehicles or government property is concerned, it will have to be as required under the Constitution. So this act must not only be seen as though it is applicable only to government auction of government property. It's auction generally. And so the law does not make this explicit. But as far as the payment is concerned, you realize that the FAR and then the Constitution are actually in agreement. And so since there is a specific law, and especially in this matter, a constitutional provision for that matter, we must apply that one when we are dealing with auction of government property. And general auctions, you can just go do it, take your 7-3, whatever it is that you have agreed with the vendor, and then you take it. No. But that same cannot apply in the sale of government property. That's the view I hold.
Well, Honourable Member, I think that saying that because you are auctioning government property, government vehicle, so in this case, the Auction Sales Act should not be applied. I do not agree.
No,
but you are saying that we should the Constitution here is supreme.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I have a different view. I gave one example already. In fact, if that is the case, then there will not be the need for enacting any law at all in Ghana. Let's go by what the Constitution says. The laws that we have enacted allow us to operationalize the provisions of the Constitution.
Yes, but that law must not be, that law should not be inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution.
It is not.
And so Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, that's why I said that on this matter, for as long as we are in public now, let me defer to you, and then maybe when we are off camera, we can discuss it extensively, and then we will take a position.
Well, we'll take a position, and that will be captured in our reports on how this particular issue should be handled. And that will assist all the MDAs whenever they are auctioning government stores. Yeah, Chief Director.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. See, from the beginning, I told Honorable that he was taking us to the realm of interpretation. If there is a law for that, it is a gray area, but it is not a matter of law. It is his assumptions and interpretations. This one is very clear that there is a specific law governing auctions. So he cannot bring the constitution, and every law in the country is subject to the constitution. But specific activities have got specific enactment governing them. So I think it is wrong on his side to make broad interpretation and application of the constitution in this particular case.
Well, that is, you also have your opinion that we shouldn't go to the extreme point of by applying the constitution. Your submission will guide the committee in taking a decision on that. So, honorable members, I think we have done a lot, and we as a committee will definitely go again later to look at the drafts, and then we'll look at our recommendations to the House. On that note, I want to thank the Minister of State at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, the Chief Director, the directors. I want to thank the Auditor General for being with us, the Deputy Auditor General, and the other Assistant Auditor Generals. And then all other officers of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. I want to thank the media, the staff of Parliament, the Secretariat of Public Accounts Committee for being part of this public hearing. We want to thank sincerely the GIZ or GIZ for sponsoring this public hearing. They have been part of the Public Accounts Committee, and we must be very thankful to them. So we thank them also. We continue that they will continue to do business with Parliament. The meeting is accordingly adjourned. You are discharged. Thank you.
And that was a live transmission in Parliament by the Public Accounts Committee, which today witnessed some officials of the Ministry of Agric coming to answer questions by the Parliamentary Accounts Committee on the auction of some 24 vehicles in the ministry. And that's it for the marketplace. Many thanks for watching, and let's meet again tomorrow, same time. Good afternoon.